Hello, 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 quilters. This is Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. I'm so glad you're here tonight or this afternoon or this morning, depending upon where you are in the world. I am so glad you're here. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. And if you are new, let everyone know that you're new. Say hello. We will give you a warm welcome. Hello, Michelle. Hi, Copper. How are you? Hello, Marcia. How are you? Cassie, how are you and your new machine? And Sherry, you're on your way home. We can't wait for you to join us. Drive safely. Hello, hello, Lois. Are you feeling better? I hope so. I hope you're feeling better. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be with you again. Hello, Sheila. How are you? Hello, hello. And there goes Terry. We missed you last week, Terry. We hope all is well with you. Glad you're here. So glad you're here. Awesome. So, what did you do this week? Did anyone do any sewing? I haven't done any major sewing. I did do some designing. I have a little secret. I can't share the secret, but I'm working on this new design for a special publication next year. So I'm kind of excited about that. They invited me. I worked on the design and submitted several, and they were excited about one. And so once the fabric arrives, I'll be working nonstop to get that quilt finished. Awesome, awesome. What else? Let's see. You're feeling much better. I'm so glad, Lois. All right. Yes, you had snow, Marsha. You had snow already? Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. I have a couple of news items to share with you. And let's see. Oh, Michelle, you're working on your grandson's Spider-Man quilt. Exciting. That's nice. Fantastic. Is it a lap quilt, a bed quilt? What size is it? And you worked on your long arm. Okay, great, Cassie. And you had, you made dog pillows for APL. What's APL? What's APL? And you hope they accept them. I'm sure that they will. What is APL? I'm curious. What else is happening? So, you know what's interesting, ladies? If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I recently shared a behind the scenes photo of what it looks like when I go live. And so I have this camera and teleprompter here in front of me with a monitor so I can read what's on my computer. But the type is so tiny that sometimes I can't read it, so I have to turn my head to the bigger screen. So when you see me turn my head, it's because I can't read because it's so tiny. But I'm getting better at it. I hope my age doesn't catch up with me and I can't see small type anymore. Okay, so she did say what size quilt. Where did I miss that? Let's see. Twin size. Okay, Michelle, twin size Spider-Man. Yay, that's gonna be nice. And Copper, you are visiting your folks in Long Island. Hello to Copper's family, to her parents. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here on Quilt Conversations Live. It's always a pleasure. Always. Oh, Animal Protective League. That's where you donate it. Okay. Fabulous. It's nice to be able to help out some of those organizations that take care of pets and animals. Awesome. You know about the small print. Okay, good. Thank you for that, Copper. Well, if you are on YouTube, here's another announcement. You might see a wrench in the chat next to Copper's name. And that is because she has graciously agreed to be an official moderator for Quilt Conversations Live. We had a little chat, and she's doing that already. She's always welcoming people. She's always asking amazing questions and encouraging us when we look at the quilts of other quilters. She is just a wonderful person to have here at Quilt Conversations Live. And so I thought, well, why not just make it official? So Copper, thank you so much. Thank you for being a moderator here at Quilt Conversations Live. And it's an important position. Not only is she responsible, already doing it fabulously, greeting and acknowledging new people, she's also helping us to make this place stay safe, encouraging, and she will monitor the comments and make sure that we don't have any unwanted comments, things that are not going to keep us safe and have a good time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to give her a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, let's see if I can get that up. All right, that's better, I think. I rarely use sound effects because it's like another thing to monitor, but I think an applause was warranted for this. So thank you, Copper. All right, so that was the announcement about that. Yes, thank you everyone for thanking Copper for participating and willing to be a moderator. Yeah, we have a safe place, but you just never know. And it's nice to have someone. And she's going to help me share different links to resources. She'll be able to do that in the chat when I talk about a specific thing and you want to know where to find that resource. She's going to share that link in the chat. Yeah. Yeah. They all are so sweet. That is true. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, Michelle, you said not really. I'm doing one for my aunt. Okay, Lois is working on gifts for her granddaughter. We knew about that. And are they, let's see if I can read this. They arrive next week. All right. Countdown. Fabulous. It's always nice to have family around during the holidays. Okay. All right, ladies. So what is on the agenda tonight? The creative quilting is the topic. We're going to talk about how I quilted this tote. We're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, remember I mentioned to you that I've been doing a series on Amazon, and that series has been about quilting books. And so I've shared I think 3 or 4 different live events on Amazon on very particular topics, sewing and quilting, not just machine quilting. So, there goes Wilda. Hello, Wilda. So glad you're here. Hello. So last week I mentioned to you, and I'll go to that. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. So we talked about modern quilts was one of the episodes on Amazon. And this was Paper Piece Modern. So there's several books that I share in that episode on Amazon, and the replays are always available. You just go to tools.livingwaterquilter.live, and that's my Amazon page. Scroll down to the bottom, and then you'll find the replays for those live sessions. If you ever want to join me live, it's Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. So the photo that you're seeing now is a screenshot from that live session where I show my friend who asked me to make this quilt for her. And this is a photo she sent me, and it's based on the pattern from this book. And so this is one of the books that I talk about in that live session. And Let's see. Is it pizza tonight? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. And then this week, I talked about fabric dyeing. So Amazon Live is very different than our Quilt Conversations here. So the Quilt Conversations on Amazon Live are broader context with sewing and quilting. So I talked about the first time I dyed fabric, and I used this book. Have you heard of it? It's called Sky Dyes. Sky Dyes. And I share some of the fabrics that I dyed when I did this when I used this book. This was a couple of years ago now. So I go through each one, how I dyed the fabric using the techniques in the book. So you have to go check that out. Again, that's on tools. You just, in the browser, you type tools.livingwaterquilter.live. That will take you to my page. I will show that to you now. So that's my page. Once you get there, you just have to scroll to the bottom, but I'll just review very quickly what you're seeing. So the first thing is the banner. The second are photos, different projects that I've shared here on Quilt Conversations Live on YouTube and Facebook. I've made photos that are called shoppable photos by Amazon, which basically means you click on the photo and it shows you all the different tools that I used to make that project. Well, most of them, not all of them, because Amazon doesn't sell all of them. So you just click the arrows and you see the projects that you remember from conversations that we've had. Remember this one on the runner, the fall runner with the leaves. We did that one, Quilt Conversations Live. Then the next row are specific videos on very specific products, specific tools that I like to use for various sewing and quilting things. So you just scroll through that and you will see even some books. I talk about different quilting and sewing books. And then underneath that is a curated list on different topics. So if you're looking for some of the things that I like to use for ruler quilting, for sewing bags, for making baskets. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to do a live session on Amazon about my baskets. That's right. I think some of you have been waiting for that. Thank you for sharing the link, Copper, in the chat. So like tonight, I am going to talk about the tote, and the fabric for that tote of Aunt Baby's bag was Kaffe Fasset's ombre leaves. It's beautiful fabric. And so I put that together in a list. There's the fabric right there. There's the shot cotton, and there are the ombre leaves. So it's things like that that you'll find. So we talk about, whoa, that's not what I wanted. Let me go, whoa. Okay. Let me go back to this here. All right. I clicked the wrong thing. Always happens, right? It's live. So anyway, that was last week. Oh no, just a couple of days ago. I did the fabric for the Sky Dyes. So that's that. And then on Sunday, sometimes I'll go live on Sundays, and I talked about who likes to do hand work, hand embroidery, cross stitch. So I did a couple of different things on hand work, specifically hand embroidery. And I also talked about sashiko, because that's hand work. And this book has a gazillion stitches in it. And I go through this book on that Amazon Live if you like handwork and you want to get a broader picture. Oh, Copper, you like handwork? Yes. Oh, you never heard of Sky Dyes? It's a fabulous book. If you want to try and experiment with fabric dyeing, this book makes it easy. I was just playing and I got fabulous results. And I share a tip in the live. So go take a look. What else? Yes, a basket. Yeah, live streaming. Hello, Sally. So glad you're here. Awesome. Um, and if you're just new to hand stitching, I also share this book too. And this one is Doodle Stitching. And it has easy projects in it if you're just a beginner. So anyway, go check those out if you are interested in looking for some sewing and quilting books for your library. Maybe you're looking for a gift for a friend. So I just wanted to share that with you. Don't forget to take a look at those live sessions that are now recorded on Amazon. Okay, go back. All right, I don't know what happened with that link earlier. It was funny. All right. Okay, so we talked about that. And what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? I did that. I guess it's time to talk about the tote. Now, I don't know if I said this at the time when I showed it to you last week. November 16th would have been my mother's 87th birthday. And yes, 87. And I named the bag after her. It's called Aunt Baby's bag. She loved bags. And tonight we're talking about creative quilting. Creative quilting. Oh, you do handwork, Sally. Fabulous. Don't really like sitting. It's good for the car. Yes. I'm like you. I enjoy some aspects of it. I've gotten to enjoy sashiko when I tried it. I love it for traveling. When you're sitting and waiting, I like it too. All right. What happened, Michelle? Oh, carpal tunnel. I'm so sorry. That can be very painful. Sorry that that's happened. Okay. Wow. All right. So, yep, live stream baskets next week. So, I wanted to share with you. Oh, the game we're going to play tonight is Word Scramble. We haven't played that for a while. So, basically, I'm just going to have 20 words for you to unscramble if you choose. And at the end of the live, I'll share the answers. Now, when you look at it, you're going to see a number after the letters. So for number 2, you see letters and then you see the number 2 at the end. That means it's 2 words. 2 words. So number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, and 6 are 2 words. And these are all quilt blocks. Quilt blocks. So let's see how many of you ladies are good at figuring out these quilt blocks. Some are very easy, like number 19. I think all of you can figure that one out. If you want to try. Happy birthday to Mom, Dina. Yeah, she passed away a couple of years ago. She's, with the Lord now. She's in heaven with Jesus. You like to bind when you're traveling, huh, Sherry? You made it home. Yes, good. That is way too big. Let me fix that. So I'm going to leave that on the screen, and you ladies can see if you can get some of those quilt blocks and see how many you can get. Now, we're talking about creative quilting, and part of that creativity comes from inspiration. It comes from practice. Sometimes, there's this Calvin Hobbes cartoon, and Calvin Hobbes, it was a comic strip in the newspaper. Maybe you've heard of it. And eventually the artist made a book, and there's this one cartoon. I probably shared it with you before. And Hobbs is this toy tiger that Calvin plays with, and they always have this conversation back and forth. And so Hobbs says to Calvin, how do you create? How do you know what you want to make? And Calvin is playing in a sandbox. And he basically says, my creativity comes from panic. From panic. It's like, oh no, I only have a day to figure this out. He waits the last minute. Hurry up and create. So sometimes when we make our quilts, we're not really thinking about the quilting process. Sometimes we are kind of in the back of our mind. But what happens over time is that we can default to a certain way of quilting our projects because that's what we know. And that is a good thing. But how do we build a library of default patterns? You want to grow a library of default patterns, things that you can go to over and over. Oh, thank you, Michelle. All you ladies are so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that is true. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Copper. You ladies are so sweet. I do miss her. So we want to build a library of patterns, things that we can default to, that we can go to when we're in a pinch, when we are in a hurry to get something finished. And I don't want that to always be the just get it done. I want it to be something that's going to be fun and creative and that I enjoy. And the only way to build that and to have creative quilting is to start building that library. And you have to do that on real quilts, and you have to practice, and you make a practice of practicing. We've talked about that before. And so every time I embark on a project, let me know in the chat, how often do you try something new in terms of quilting, whether it's walking foot, ruler quilting, or free motion quilting? How often do you say, I want to try something new, and you actually do it? Or do you say, I want to try something new, but next time? How many have you said, well, I'll do it next time? I don't have time right now. Is that part of your creative process? I don't have time right now. Or do you say, I'm going to make time and I'm going to practice? Creative quilting comes with inspiration, with watching tutorials, with getting books to help us, and venturing out even when we are afraid. Okay, Teresa. Hello, Teresa. I'm so glad you're here. She's saying both. I am a next time person, but I wish I wasn't. That's being very honest. And it's good to acknowledge where we are, because the only way to move forward is to acknowledge where we are, right? So Copper says, I try sometimes when I finish a project to be quilting. Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of projects finished. Okay. So Michelle just started quilting last year, so I'm trying to think like that. Good, good. Yes, and hello to everyone on Facebook. Thank you, Copper. Copper's over here on YouTube saying hello to everyone on Facebook. Thank you, Copper. Quilting is Marsha's New Year's resolution. Congratulations for that. I'm so glad. Yes, yes. Finishing projects can be a challenge. And that's another thing to consider. What is preventing you from finishing projects? I know that one year I said, I am not I'm not going to make another quilt top. I don't care how pretty it is until I finish X number of quilt tops, until I get them quilted. Because my habit, let me know if you can relate to this, I see a quilt or I get inspiration. Ooh, I want to try that new block that I saw on such and such place or such and such Facebook or YouTube. I try it, I make a quilt, then I put it on a hanger and I hang it on the door. In my sewing room, I have one of those hooks where you can hang stuff. And I have quilts right now hanging on the behind my door that need to be quilted. Okay, I tried ruler quilting, but you don't have it down. That's going to be just practice, right? Michelle, you're trying it. Fantastic. Just keep practicing. Yes, you finish practice. You finish projects you love, but I love starting new ones. I love starting new ones too. I do. And I was going through some of my project containers. How many of you have containers with projects that are in various stages? I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Yes, you can relate. 15 tops. I don't know. I don't even want to count how many I have because I have some hanging on the door. I have some hanging in the closet that are tops that need to be finished. I have project containers with projects that need to be finished. Yeah. So you ladies can relate. And so creative quilting, the more skills we have in the quilting process, the finishing process, creative, go to, hopefully the more we will quilt our projects. And I want, at least I hope, some of you will begin to have the same excitement with making new quilt tops and quilt blocks. You will have that same excitement with quilting, with free motion quilting. When you get that new ruler, like you, Sherry, you got those snowflake templates and you couldn't wait to get started and you did it right away. And you are going to continue. All right, what's this I see here? No idea what you're talking about. Containers? I think you do, Sally. Yes, okay, so how many do you have? Okay, I think my comment thing froze. That's not good. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay, I hope my computer's not freezing. So, Michelle, Copper, you say that you find that using the same color thread as the fabric helps not to be able to notice mistakes. Yes, that's it. In the beginning, when we are learning, especially free motion quilting techniques, use blending thread so that you don't see your mistakes and others won't see it. We're looking at our projects very close and we can see those little itty bitty things that we would want to improve. But use blending thread, exactly. Yes. So Teresa, you have packages of retirement projects. Explain that. What is a retirement project? You mean that there are things that you want to accomplish once you retire from working? Too many containers to count. I know. I got them all neatly stacked. At some point, I have so many, I got painter's tape, and I had to write what was in each container. Because in the beginning, I only had a few, and I knew what was in it. Okay. Hello, Tasha. Nice for you to be here. You have 5 containers of unfinished projects, 6 to 7 unfinished projects. Okay, yes. So you ladies understand creative quilting. And Yes, that's true. They do. Those little challenges that we have with quilting, they just blend right into the quilt. They meld right in. Yep, blending thread, they meld right in. Future attempts. Okay, Teresa, future attempts. Too many containers to count, so you ladies can relate. Now, I think Sherry has been participating in one of those finish alongs to help you finish your projects. But I really want to talk about not just finishing our projects, but that when it comes time to finish, that we enjoy the quilting process by building up a library of creative techniques and finding out what you like to do, what aspect of quilting that you enjoy. And the only way to do that is experiment. And so when you come to Quilt Conversations, it's my hope, Quilt Conversations Live, that I inspire you to try different things. Okay. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you ladies are here tonight. We are going to talk about now, I'm going to hide this word search. Let me know if you want me to bring it back, because now we're going to talk about this bag. And I've made two of them, and I quilted it twice. I wasn't sure what kind of texture I wanted on it. I'm always thinking about thread texture and how to make something look really good once it's quilted, what pattern, and whether or not it's going to be an edge to edge, or am I going to stitch in the, remember, we can stitch edge to edge, or we can stitch in the patchwork pieces, right? Which do you prefer, edge to edge or stitching in, doing some custom quilting, whether it's walking foot, you can do custom quilting with a walking foot, free motion or ruler quilting. Do you like edge to edge, or do you like stitching in quilt block patches? You like the pattern on the bag. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. That pattern is available in Make Modern magazine. It was just published. It's a digital magazine. And I will share that in the chat because I don't think I gave that link to Copper. Let's see if that will come up. Yes, there's the link to the 43rd issue of Make Modern magazine. You can either subscribe to that one issue, get that one issue, or you can subscribe for a year. It's up to you. But when you get one issue, there are multiple patterns, not just this one. There's others in it. So go take a look. So I thought about this. The first one that I made, I used, and I thought I wanted to because I wanted to practice. I had not used this particular template in a while, and it's called the Westerly Design Mini Baptist Fan. Have you heard of the Baptist fan pattern in quilting? It's very popular, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful texture. And you make it basically with curves, and you can make it with a semicircle, but you have to graduate that, right? It has to get bigger and bigger. So Sheila likes a custom. Okay. Marsha likes everything custom. Okay. So Sally has a long arm a year ago, and she's moving more towards edge to edge. Okay, you want to slow down and tackle a little bit more free motion and ruler quilting. Okay. All right. Yes, that Baptist fan is so pretty. So pretty. Custom within the block. Terry likes custom. And Terry, that is a great way to practice. When we are new to free motion quilting, doing custom on each block is helping to build our skills. And I think you can testify to that, right? Small projects. Hello, Elaine. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Small projects like edge to edge, larger projects, she likes custom quilting. All right. So right there, just from the comments in the chat, you can see there's so many different ways that we can be creative. Think about the ones you enjoy, and then think about the ones that you haven't tried yet so that you can build your library. Because when we start to think about our projects and how we're going to quilt them, just like Elaine said, she says, on small projects, I like to do this. On big projects, I like to do this. You can start to create a system for yourself on what is your default. Remember, we automatically default to certain things: easy, the type of quilt, the type of project, what you can add to your library of creative quilting so that your default designs, default techniques grow it into a bigger library of techniques. So try something new. Yeah, that's a neat way. Well, Tasha, I hope you get started. You don't have to fear free motion quilting. I don't know if you've seen some of my videos here on YouTube where I talk about some of the steps and the different things that you can avoid, mistakes when it comes to free motion quilting. And one of them is our fear. Don't let fear stop you. It's just having the right tools to help you be successful. And we talk a lot about that here. And then you come to communities like this where we help you when you have challenges. We are here to help. So if you have any questions, let us know. So Terry attempted to do a Baptist fan on her sampler and she really liked it. Okay, so I think it's time to see one of my practice quilts before we get to, we're going to look at this one in detail. Notice that I started the Baptist fan. I did several rows and then I stopped. I did like an uphill climb of Baptist fan and then straight lines. And so we're going to talk about that. And I did not arrive at this idea like instantly because I have done the Baptist fan with this tool, with these templates a few times. And my first thing was to learn how to use the template, how to stitch, what kind of design can I make. Then I want to think about variations. What kind of variations can I make with this template? So I did that. Then the next step is, how can I use this design with another template or another design? In this case, straight edge, straight lines. So Baptist fan with straight lines. So the progression is learn how to use the template. The next step is, what variations can I make with the template? Then what can I combine? What other stitching pattern can I combine with that template? Yep, slanted. You like that? Okay. Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Slanted like a mountain. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. It does. It adds a little bit of interest. Exactly. But let's look at the first one. This is, I think, the first one that I did. And remember, I always say, if you can, when you're making a quilt, make an extra block, an easy block. Sometimes we need to practice a particular technique before we start on a quilt, and we use some scrap fabric. I always make test blocks for any quilt, like that quilt that I just designed that's going to be in the publication next year. After I designed the quilt and the magazine accepted the pattern, I made 3 test blocks and I checked all my math, the size, everything. So I have 3 test blocks. And I decided, since I started, maybe a year ago, I decided that all my test blocks are going to be red and white. So I'm accumulating a pile of red and white test blocks. But sometimes when I don't do that, I do this. I take a test block, I put a border around it. In this case, I put 2 borders. And then I quilt it with a new tool that I want to learn how to use. And in this case, it's the Westerly Design Baptist fan. So isn't that texture just gorgeous? I love that texture. It's just so pretty. Now, this does take a little bit of time. It's not fast quilting. You have to do it row by row, row by row, row by row. And the set is 4 different templates, and you have to change out the templates to do each graduated arc. Yes. Oh, so glad you like it, ladies. Isn't it pretty? It looks like clouds. Oh, yeah. Hello. Hello, MC. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you like it. It's fun. And that's when our creativity starts to blossom. It's like a flower. You know, a flower is closed. Think about a rose, right? You see it and you're anticipating that as it slowly opens, there's going to be this beautiful, beautiful flower. As we learn techniques, it's going to happen over time that we're going to start to blossom and improve and get better and better. And we're going to start to add techniques and combine them to make just beautiful designs. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you like it. So that was the small template. Remember, it's 4 different templates and they have to be used one after another. And I'm going to show you in an overhead overhead camera. Okay, good question, Sherry. Sherry asked, do you do a row of big ones, then do the next size down? You do them one after another. So you do the small arc, stitch, do the next size up, stitch up, do the next size up. So you have to do all 3 or 4 or how many you want, one after another. Then you shift and do the next one. Let me go to the overhead camera. So here is the smallest one. Remember, we're using a ruler foot, right? We're using a ruler foot. And that ruler foot's going to go against the edge of the template. On the outside edge is one size. And then on the inside edge is another size. So there are 2 different size arcs that you make in this one space. And then this one is even smaller. It tells you this makes a 1/4 inch arc. This makes a 1/2 inch arc when I go on the inside. And then when I go on the outside, this makes 3/4. 3/4. So I would do this one first. Then I would take the next size. This is the next size. And then I can stitch whatever arc size I want. This one is the inside size. And then if I stitch out here, it goes larger. Can you ladies see that? Does that make sense? Okay, so Lois has some experience using the Westerly Design circles on quilts to do Baptist fan. That makes really big Baptist fan. But she wants to try the mini. This is the mini Baptist fan set for smaller projects. Okay. Yeah, that's true, Wilda. Sometimes it does look better on the back. Is there a lot of backtracking? No, not really. What you're doing basically is that you are starting in the seam. You stitch here, then you go stitch around, you stop, then you take the next size up, and you position yourself to now stitch the next size, and then a little backtrack here, come up, stitch down, then you take this one out and you bring in the really big one. Remember, your foot is already here, so then you're going to stitch over to do the next size, backtrack, and then come back around. So you're able to do 2 arcs, 2 sizes in one template. But remember, you can mix and match. You can decide if the Baptist fan arcs are a 1/4 inch apart, a 1/2 inch apart, or a full inch. You can vary the look of the Baptist fan. Okay, let me see if there are any more questions. You like that. Where do you get your ruler from and ruler foot? That is a good question. Copper can post for you in the chat on YouTube my curated list. Remember, I have maybe you came in later. I have created several lists. So there is on my Amazon shop, as an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. So if you make a purchase, I get a small commission. But I've created all these lists, and I have a special list for ruler quilting. And in that list, you can see the Westerly Design ruler foot and the templates. In fact, if you're looking for one, get the starter set. The starter set includes this template, which is the 12-inch arc, the ruler foot, and some stable tape. You may have noticed that on these templates, I have these little white patches. That's stable tape. That's to help the template grip the fabric as you sew. So it comes with it. The starter set comes with the foot, stable tape, and this 12-inch arc. Awesome. Terry, I have not made any videos on this. I would assume that Sew Steady on their YouTube channel, that they might have a video on this. I think I saw Leonie West, who's the amazing designer behind these templates. Leonie West. She has a YouTube channel, and she has a video on this Baptist fan. And I would watch that one. That's the one that I watched when I first started to learn how to use this template. So the Westerly Design YouTube channel. Any tips? Yes, I do have some tips. Start with a little. I like to put the stable tape at sections where I'm more likely to move the template. You know, the places where you start and stop, sometimes you can move the template in the wrong way, and that minimizes that movement, starts and stops. And I start with a little. If the template slides, then I add a little bit more. And then the other tip is you want to make sure that you don't put stable tape over the important lines. These lines help us line up the Baptist fan. Any template, even this one, you see where the stable tape is? It's on the inside. It's not covering these lines. And then I've made it even small enough. In this case, I like to put the staple tape at the end because I'm starting here. And so at the start, I can miss the template, right? And then when I stop here, that's when the template can shift in the beginning and the end. So that's why I have templates, staple tape on the ends. Okay. That's a good question, Wilda. They did at one time. I don't know if they're still doing that, but they do sell the staple tape separately in packages. I would get the larger package. It's more economical. Okay, so I shared that. Now, let's go back to the bag. This is what's on the inside. That's what the bag looks like on the inside. You can fit very large 12.5-inch block in there very easily. And I have to say this. You see that beautiful star block there? Someone in the chat on YouTube made that block. It was through a block exchange we had here at one of our local guilds. And that block was given to me in an exchange from Sheila. Isn't it beautiful? It was just the perfect block to feature in this bag. So Sheila, thank you for my star block. Sheila, yes. I know you want to see a close-up of the quilting, and so I'm going to do that so we can talk a little bit more. All right, so here is that straight line. So remember, oops, here we go. So I did what? 1, 2, 3, 4 arcs. Yes, nice block, Sheila. Yeah, thank you. All right. See, now I want to show it again because it's special and I appreciate it. It is a nice block. Perfect. It's perfect. There's always a delay between when I talk to you and when it actually goes live. And sometimes I'm ahead of myself and I have to slow down. So I want to slow down and acknowledge all the beautiful block, Sheila, comments, because it is a beautiful block. Beautiful block. Yeah. Hey, Benita, so glad you're here. Awesome. So you'll have to watch the beginning on the replay, but we're glad you're here now. Thank you for joining us. I hope all is well with you. We're talking about creative quilting and how to start building our library of quilting inspiration. And sometimes that means we have to try new things. Good question. All right, I think it's confession time. Let me go to the overhead camera. Confession time. Now, remember I said that I did this bag twice. This is the second one. I will show the second bag at another time, but the first bag, I will show the first bag at another time. But this is the second one. The first one, I did a very different Baptist fan pattern. And so I said, I'm going to try something different. I don't want to repeat because every time there were some challenges with the first pattern. So I had to remake it. And so in this second one, I said I'm going to use the same Baptist fan pattern when I quilt it, but I'm going to do it differently because it's another opportunity to be creative. Okay. I did the Baptist fan first. To answer your question, Copper, I did that first. And as I did it, remember I told you, let's see if I can get this in here. You start at the bottom. Okay, you start at the bottom and you do it a row at a time. So you start at the bottom and you do a row at a time, a row at a time. Okay, so row 1, row 2, row 3. And so in terms of quilting time, if you only have 10 or 15 minutes, you can say, okay, I'm going to quilt 1 row tonight, right? And then tomorrow I have enough time to quilt 2 rows. As my deadline for this pattern was approaching for the magazine, I was running out of time. And I had to finish it. Now, this is two-sided. Remember, this is two-sided. So on both sides, I did the same pattern. And in the middle, I did straight lines. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. So straight lines right down the middle where it folds. And then Baptist fan on the front, Baptist fan on the back. Okay, same pattern, same block. I'm running out of time. And I thought, oh, it's going to take me another 40 minutes, hour, whatever it was to finish quilting. And I still have another side to start. So I said, well, if I add some lines here, if I add some straight lines to break up the Baptist fan, I can stitch these straight lines quicker than I can do Baptist fans across the whole thing. So there's my secret. There's my confession. I ran out of time and I said, I'm going to try something else. Have you done that? Have you run out of time on a project and you decide to make a command decision and say, I'm going to do another technique to speed up the process? Have you done that? That's how some of our designs happen, not only with experimentation, but also with learning and pressure. When we are under pressure, remember that cartoon with Calvin and Hobbes? He's like, what is your creative process like? I was under pressure to finish. Yes, necessity, exactly. Exactly. And I am so glad that sometimes our creativity, our creative quilting can come out of those situations. Yes. Running out of time worked. It did. It did work. And so now I've added this to my library of designs and techniques. Now, what do you think? We know in the beginning I mentioned that we get a tool like this one, this mini Baptist fan. It could be any template. We learn how to use it, right? We learn how to use this. Then we do variations. That's the next step. After variations, then we combine it with something else. And in this case, I decided to combine the curves with some straight lines. Think of any of the templates that you have, even if you're free motion quilting, what 2 designs can you combine that you can combine? That is increasing your creativity in quilting and free motion quilting when you combine patterns and techniques. Let me know what else. You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. This is how things work in real life. I'm no one unique or special. I go through the same challenges like everyone else, right? It does make it more interesting. Now, what else could I have done here instead of straight lines? Because I did consider something else instead of straight lines. What else could I have done? Instead of straight lines, what would you do to break up the Baptist fan with another type of design in this area? Any ideas? Any ideas? All right. And I'll let you know the reason why I thought of doing something else. I could have done diagonal lines, yes. Crosshatch is another good combination. Snowflake with the circle tip, that's another good idea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, ladies, over time, some of the things that we end up doing creatively help us mask some of the challenges we have when we make things. And Copper mentioned it earlier. She was encouraging someone to use blending thread. When you're new and you're trying something, a new technique, use blending thread to minimize the visibility of those challenges that we face, whether it's still improving our stitch length with free motion quilting or improving our ruler quilting. And it is important to know that sometimes part of creativity is finding ways to mask or hide different things. So here's a tip. You've mentioned cross-hatching. You've mentioned using the snowflake template. You mentioned echo quilting, circles, good ideas. What about free motion quilting? What about a free motion quilting pattern? What do you think about that? Why would I consider or think about adding a free motion quilting pattern here? What other pattern, free motion quilting pattern, would you consider? You use tape, not rulers. Okay. Yes, free motion quilting would have been faster than perhaps the straight lines. That's possible. True. And I would want to consider something that's going to work well with the Baptist fan pattern. Ah, the straight lines and the curve, the symmetrical, the repeating pattern. The straight lines work well with the Baptist fan because of that repeating pattern, that half-inch distance. This half inch here, half inch here. That's a repeating width that works well. These two work well together. The sky is the limit. Yes. A meander, that's certainly possible. Now, here's the tip. This is what I do sometimes, especially on larger projects or borders or patterns that have quilt patterns that have straight lines, piecing patterns. If I find that after I've done all my piecing and quilting, as much as I have worked hard to have accurate seam allowances and accurate piecing between the block and putting all the blocks together and the sashing in the border, sometimes it's still not square. It just isn't. And I wonder why that is sometimes. So it does happen. So what I end up doing is saying, if I use straight lines in an area where you can clearly see that my piecing is a lot less perfect or imperfect or has challenges, however you want to call it, I'm not going to accentuate that by quilting straight lines. Instead, I'm going to use an edge-to-edge free motion quilting that will draw at least my eye and potentially the person who's receiving the quilt, their eye away from the fact that it's not straight. Okay? So when I did these straight lines, before I attempted, I looked at this tote and said, I need to take pictures. This is going to appear in a digital magazine. That means there are going to be close-up shots. Will straight lines work? Will the straight lines show that the piecing is faulty or has a problem? Okay, so I'm going to go back to the overhead camera. So when you look at the edge, I wanted to make sure that this was going to be, at least at a quick glance, the same width. That even when I stitched, you see that seam? That it was relatively even. Not perfect, but if it was far off, if this gap narrowed because my seams were inaccurate, straight lines would have shown that inaccuracy. Nope, it's not just you. It's the truth. That's it. That's it. That is so true. Now, on this side where you see the Baptist fan, this seam here, it does narrow a little bit down here, but you really can't see it. You can't tell. It's a little bit wider up here. But because of these curves, you really can't see that. But if there were straight lines, I would want that straight line to be right on that seam and be parallel to the binding. Yes, so if it's not perfectly square and you don't want to trim it anymore to try and make it square, adding free motion quilting. So straight lines, you want it to be as even as possible. So if it was very noticeable, I would have added free motion quilting instead of the straight lines. Would you do Baptist fans with circle templates? Well, you can use the Westerly Design Circles on Quilts, which is partial circles. It's not a full circle. I think doing it with full circles, you would have to have all the sizes that are in between. So you'd have to have a 1/2 inch circle, a 3/4 inch circle, or if you're doing 1 inch spacing or 1/2 inch, each circle would have to be a 1/2 inch larger to do half. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, let's see. I think that's all I wanted to share. Oh, the other thing. When I did the straight lines, I based the stitching from the seam. I went from here out and from this direction. So the first one was right down here, right down this seam. And so that if I started on the end and went this way, there was a possibility that it would not line up with this seam. So I started here first, and then stitched my way out. Does that make sense, ladies? Does that make sense? All right, we are going over. I apologize. I didn't realize it was already almost an hour and 15 minutes. But I hope those tips on creative quilting are helpful. Let me know in the chat, were those tips helpful? You got a couple of tips about being creative with quilting and how to build your default library, increase your default quilting patterns, whether it's free motion quilting, walking foot, or ruler quilting. Thumbs up. Thank you, ladies. Hello, Jacqueline. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Cassie is motivated. Cassie has a new machine. So you are stitching. Time flies when you're having fun. That is so true. So I hope some of you will have an opportunity to join me on Quilt Conversations Live on Amazon. It's Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. And if you have an Amazon account, you can follow my page. When you go to my page, tools.livingwaterquilter.live, there's a plus sign at the top. Click that plus sign, plus follow. Let's see if I can get this to work again. Yep, there it is. Okay, so there's the plus right here. You just click on that. You can follow, then you'll get notified. You'll get notified when I go live. So I know that I go live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and sometimes Sunday evenings if I get myself together. But I'm doing a series on quilting books, sewing books that we can add to our library for inspiration and to try new and different techniques. What else? I think that is it. Yes, if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give this video, this live session, a thumbs up. If you joined us late, remember you can watch the replay. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. Comments are moderated. I will read them and respond to you. I am happy to do that. Ladies, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Kaffe, enjoy your time with your parents. Lois, enjoy your time with your family in Alaska. Coming from Alaska, coming to visit you. Sally, Elaine, Sabrina. Oh, I didn't realize you were here. I'm so glad. Sherry, Copper, Lois, Wilda, everyone. Who did I miss? Cassie, Elaine, Jacqueline, Sherry, Michelle, and Sheila. So glad you ladies were here tonight. We had a fantastic time learning about creative quilting, how to up our skills and increase our library of default designs. We want to have as many designs that we can go to so that we can have fun and create wonderful quilting for our projects. Marsha, Sally, so glad you ladies were here. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone. And don't forget to eat too much or not enough, or yeah, something like that. A second helping, more stuffing, less stuffing, 2 pieces of pie, no pie. Okay, everyone. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, Kaffe Sweet Parents. And again, Kaffe, thank you again for being the official moderator of Quilt Conversations Live. I am so happy. Eat pie. Sherry says, eat pie. Yes. All right, ladies, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful and safe week. Those who are traveling to see family, and enjoy your time. Enjoy your time with your family. Okay, let's see. I always look for the button. I have this new toy for my live streams to help me manage them, but I'm still learning how to use it. So I gotta find the button. Sometimes I just crack myself up. All right, everybody. This is really goodbye. I mean it this time. I do. No, it's not goodbye. It's see you later. It's see you next week for our Friday night date here on Quilt Conversations Live.